All right, what do you think about this new studio? This One Time in Real Estate, Season 2, Episode 18, coming to you from the Annex Studio. Pretty darn professional. What do you think?
I know, I love it. I feel very official. Like, if you can see us because we are actually recording this. We have these really, really nice microphones and whatever the thing that goes on in front of it, and then our headphones, and it's just a whole vibe right here. It's very official.
Could that be like, I don't know what that screen's for, but hey, if it can make us sound smarter, do you think it's going to make us just sound better or
Quality.
sound smarter?
I think probably just better quality, sound quality, but smarter too, maybe.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, like always, you boss it up. You get up in our business. I don't know. What are you going to get up in my business about? What topic?
Yeah, so I was thinking about our last few. We've gone off the grid a little bit with topics. Like, we've done some really fun things. And so I thought we probably need to get back to some real estate related conversations for our viewers, and we need to talk about tactics. I want to get really tactical. Mark and I were in New York City last week, and we were learning from incredible real estate geniuses. I mean, it was amazing, all of the things that were talked about. But at the end of the day, I felt like the thing that resonated with me the most was just doing the activities, like making the calls, doing the thing. It's the repetitive boredom of doing the same thing, but that's ultimately all those people are successful because they just did it. There's no secret, obviously. There's no secret sauce, just doing it. So I was thinking from a tactics perspective, if I were an agent, especially if I'm an agent that's maybe feeling a little bit of fear right now or uncertainty from the conversation we talked about a few weeks ago regarding NAR, what would I tell those people to be doing? And I would be telling them, and it sounds so simple, but like, what do you love doing in real estate? What's the thing that if you woke up in the morning and you knew that was on your schedule, you'd be like, yes, like, I'm gonna crush this. Like, I love doing this. And whatever that is, just do that like every day, basically. So it's funny because for me, it was previewing, and I don't think I necessarily thought about it as much back then as I do now, but really, really good stuff would happen when I would consistently preview. And I didn't consistently preview, but when I would see houses that my buyer had written off for whatever reason that I was then able to be like, no, really, you got to go see this. Or I'd run into someone that wanted to see the house that I was previewing, and then they become a client. Or I'd meet a neighbor and they say that they're thinking about selling their home. I mean, it's incredible the good stuff that can come just out of previewing. So like, if you can frame it that way and think, what's the thing that I love doing? And then just go and do that every day. Before you know it, you're going to be building a business based off of that. It's that simple.
And I agree with you when you're talking about, you always said, and it resonates with me, action begets action.
Yeah.
Like when you take action,
Yep.
Good things happen. There's one other thing that I think you neglected about, for example, previewing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you confidence. When you have a conversation with a prospective seller or buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and they ask you, well, what do you think about 123 Main Street? That's going to go one of two ways. You've either seen 123 Main Street, which then you can absolutely sound like, number one, you're the expert. Number two, you have an opinion. And number three, you did homework.
Yep.
Alternatively, what do you think about 123 Main Street? Crickets?
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't seen it. Your then next conversation, the next 5 minutes, changes your relationship. Even if it doesn't change from the seller relationship, because, for example, you were able to pull it off, your own internals and all of ours,
Mm-hmm.
insecurities. You're beating yourself up maybe behind the scenes. Gosh, I wish I would have done that. Gosh, I wish I wouldn't have run out of time. I wish I would have been able to do that, but this got in the way. So I think that what we talk a lot about, confidence. When our agents know the contract, a client asks, a buyer asks a question about it, and you can just immediately tell them all the things that relates to the inspection,
Yep.
the 10-day, and then what happens if we ask for A, B, and C, and they say no, and then we can come back, and it's negotiation. The difference between knowing and speaking from confidence and lack of confidence, exponential difference. See, the thing we mistake is that our clients actually want us to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Now, they don't want us to have an opinion in the wrong place, but they certainly want us to guide them. They want to, so the seller that's asking about 123 Main Street, they're essentially asking you, well, what are your thoughts, Sarah? How does our house compare to that one? And it helps give you a reference point.
Yeah, well, and again, like if you believe as an agent that the reason a home is sitting on the market is always because it's overpriced, like no. Like, and by telling your client that and basically guessing or making an assumption, you're doing them a huge disservice. Like, go and look at it. Go preview it. Could it be something that's just maybe the photos are terrible? I don't know. Or maybe there's some issue. Maybe there's a major glaring issue that you need to know about. It's funny. We've all had it happen where you didn't preview a property ahead of time and you're like, hey, we should go see this house. Like, this looks like such an awesome house. And then you get there and you're like, whoa, like it was built underneath power line, like major high tension power lines. And you're like, ooh, man, I look like an idiot now, like, because I should have known that. And we've all been there. And so if you consider yourself an area expert and you're showing a house to a client and you've never seen it before and you have no understanding of the neighborhood, you're not an expert. You're actually doing yourself a disservice and you're doing the client a disservice. There's not even that much inventory, good or bad. And there's not that much inventory. If you search in an area where you consider yourself an expert and there's 30 active properties, which is I would be surprised if there's more than that in popular areas in St. Louis. Go preview them. It's not that hard. Do 5. Mark was just talking on our huddle this morning about when you break something down. So something seems very huge. If you need to make 2,000 dials, well, great. Break it down by week. You don't have to do all 2,000 in a day, obviously. You don't have to do 30 previews in one day. It doesn't work. Do 5, whatever that looks like. But then you will be an expert. So you're exactly right. The market knowledge is just incredible.
And consistency. But here's the other thing. Not only the market knowledge that you've obtained from previewing, but I was just with a new agent and have a lead for her. And we're on speakerphone with the client, a prospective buyer, and we didn't know when showings start. We also don't know a few other details. We called. We said, we'll get back to you after we review the listing in detail, review the documents. What I didn't want to say, and this is a minor nuance, but we could have diluted our value. Mr. Buyer, we have to call the selling agent, listing agent, to see if we can get in today. We have to call to see when first showings start. No. I didn't say that. I said, we'll get back to you after we've reviewed the listing in detail, look at attached documents and then we can schedule an appointment. The first thing that I'm going to do after I get off that phone is I'm going to look at the listing, see what documents are uploaded. Is there a seller's disclosure? Is there any other indentures or other things that I should be aware of? Sometimes there's when there's mold, there's a mold disclosure that you have to sign. Sometimes it's a short sale, it's a foreclosure. Maybe showings start tomorrow, they start in a week. But here's the thing. Again, it gives us confidence when we have information. And the information we can obtain in anticipation of every showing, we should be looking at all of. This is what I do when I show, and we did a team walkthrough of a house at a few weeks ago training.
Yep.
Right. My preparation, as I led that, my preparation was, I'm going to print out the listing. I'm going to print out the property history. I'm going to print out the tax records. I'm going to print out the seller's disclosure. Print out the lead-based paint, print out any other attachments, and then, not related to that house, I'm going to print out comps. Doesn't mean we have to supply the comps, but for my own information, I need to be able to have all this information at my fingertip. So there's the old saying like luck, right? When preparation meets opportunity. Well, the opportunity is a buyer or seller want to meet with you. The preparation is, and it's hard to use a different word, but being prepared.
Right.
Doing everything it takes to know everything about, if they're a seller, what are their competition, what are prices. We keep talking about being their trusted advisor. I'm sure we'll get to that in another one, but you're a big proponent of information, of our agents, of us studying what's happening with interest rates, what's happening with the economy. I'm not going to steal the thunder of that one,
right.
But the point is, it's not lucky when Sarah sold a house. No, she was prepared. She knew exactly going into it, knew the market. Now, what is your thought on an agent? Ideally, you live in South County. Your best place to sell is where?
South County, where you know.
Perfect. Because you live there, you know where the school is. But I'm a new agent cutting my teeth. I'm going to sell wherever or work with buyers wherever they go. Anything else I should know?
Well, here's the thing. I think all of us need to be versatile, actually, in this market. Because in our area, I mean, you can get the majority of places in about, I would say, 20 to 25 minutes. Like, unless you're going rural, which is a commitment. Yeah, that's up to you to decide. But who am I to say I'm not going to work within 25 minutes of my house? Like, I wouldn't be turning down business personally.
So right now, your goal, yes, you'd like to specialize, but I also heard there's probably not even enough homes to specialize in.
Right.
So you're actually going to go wider.
Oh, I would. I mean, if I
What
were
do I need to do?
So, well, here's the thing that I always say to our new agents is start where you know, because that's the most comfortable, makes the most sense. And that way, I believe if you're going to learn on something that you know, it's gonna probably quicken up the process, like of just the initial learning. So start where you know and drive. And is this what you're meaning?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so, I know I'm deviating a little bit, but hey, people are listening right now.
Right.
That want to get deals done.
Right.
There's some people that want to work just in their area. Support it, love it, but this is a market where, number one, there may not be the buyers. Number two, there's not enough sellers. Number three, in 3 months, those buyers that you do have may not want to pay you. So if I hear you, you're working in lieu of the market, you're working in lieu of inventory, those are the things you cannot control.
Correct.
What you led this whole podcast with was just do it.
Yep.
And your just do it mentality is I can control my activity.
Yep. Exactly.
So when you're explaining what you're doing,
right.
Yeah, I want to know how to do it in today's market to get paid. Because if I specialize and there's no homes, does that make you feel any better if there's no homes and you're not getting paid?
Exactly. No, that doesn't work. I got to go where the homes are.
Awesome. You got to go where the homes are and the people that are buying, people are selling.
Right.
Funny, because yesterday I'm working with 2 agents about a farm area. They want to farm a high price point, but my question was how many homes are selling in that high price point? If you want to work $1 million price point, it's beautiful. But if in an area of 300 homes, only 4 sell a year versus 400,000 and there's 40 or 50, the odds are much better to work in that 40. The other problem is in that $1 million that's only 4 homes, 3 of those people may have relationships with agents, so I really only am competing for 1. Whereas in the 40, I can get my shot.
Yeah.
Even if they have relationships, other people, great. 20 people have a relationship, I'm still free game for 20.
Yeah, that's
you with
so
me?
True. Yeah.
So, all right. So, you're going where the houses are.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and again, so like I said, previewing is fundamental, especially as a new agent, because you don't know a lot. So you just need to get inside houses and go through the process and practice on yourself, or maybe bring like your spouse along and practice on them before you are with a client, because obviously we don't want to practice on a client ever. So anyway, the more that you can do in that one area, then you need to drive. So you need to drive the neighborhoods just to get a feel for them, and you also need to know where the schools. You have to know where the schools are. As an agent, people rely on you to give them that information. That's going to help them make decisions on where they want to live. So they're trusting in you that you know those things. If you don't know those things, then that's going to form an insecurity, which is going to hinder your performance. It just does. And so in order to get ahead of that, just go and preview it and know it ahead of time, and then you can remove that objection from your mind. Because we don't even realize how much we're hindering ourselves because we're worried about something in our mind that we could totally fix. So anyway, I would do that. I'd do parks. But the other thing that's interesting, back when I started, would also preview new construction. And it's interesting you mentioning there's not a lot of new construction in the areas that I live. I wish there was. But guess what? I need to go to the areas where there is new construction because that's probably where buyers are, and I need to know about those areas. And the great news is that a good sales manager of a new construction community is going to be able to tell you all about the community that they're building in because that's their job. So then you can just leverage off of their information and insights and then use it as your own. So rep off and duplicate. So I would start with that. And then again, as you build on your knowledge of one area, you just increase it. So I'm not going to go like in St. Louis, I'm not going to learn South County and do Sunset Hills, Crestwood, unincorporated, Melville, and then jump over to St. Charles. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's not, unless I have to, which then I'm going to become the expert in St. Charles quickly because I have to. But I'm just going to widen my circle in the same general area. And then over time, as you continue to do that, you'd be amazed how quickly you are more comfortable and familiar with the city, basically.
And I guess we're talking about proof. The proof is this morning we do every Friday, day of this podcast, we do every Friday a community highlight for our entire team. I specifically had to write notes on there because I wasn't running the community, but I was running the note taker. And Sarah specifically said, and we were Community Afton, great community, but Sarah specifically wanted me to write in. What did you want me to write in about? This is a great opportunity if they're looking in like Kirkwood Webster and it's too expensive, they should widen to Afton. Great area. More better price point? I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
That's the proof, right?
Right.
Because you made me write it today.
That's funny.
So what you're saying in this podcast is no BS. What'd you make them say? And then we're going to wrap this sucker up.
Well, so I always put myself in the shoes of a buyer. So if you're a buyer, you've heard about these couple flashy areas of St. Louis that just they're very notorious with walkability and charm and a little downtown. And you're like, oh, cool. I want to live in those two areas. And it's like, yeah, well, so does everybody else. So it's competitive. It's a very competitive environment in those areas. The price point is higher. It's you're going to have to pay to play. So the negotiation tactics so that's just intense. I always believe I have a duty to suggest additional options. It may not be for them, but I'd rather suggest it and have them tell me no than not suggest it and have them bring it to me 3 months later when we've lost out on multiple houses and say, should we have considered Afton? It's like, oh, I should have told you that 3 months ago. So anyway, in order to get ahead of that, I always make sure that I suggest surrounding areas to where they are, to the areas that they are bringing to me. I just think that's critical. Any agent should be doing that. And just say, hey, I know that you're prioritizing Kirkwood, Webster, Shrewsbury. However, a lot of my clients have had that same prioritization of those areas, but they've included Afton, and they've been amazed at what they can get for the money by just going 5 minutes to the south or whatever.
You're well-versed. You're their trusted advisor.
Right.
At our bowling party last week, one of Kathy's sales trainer, her client was looking in South County. Exactly where Sarah was talking about South County, there are so few homes.
Yep.
St. Charles, quite a bit far away. But the individual couldn't be happier because his agent suggested that area. Totally different areas. But maybe you didn't even know why you wanted to go to South County in the first place.
Right.
Maybe second of all, you didn't know why you didn't want to go to St. Charles. Right. Trusted advisor, happy as can be. But if you don't know these areas, if Sarah doesn't know Afton, she can't even intelligently recommend it. It's part of the understanding. So here's the thing. You absolutely want to just do it. But I'm suggesting just do it with a little ammunition behind you, a little information. But if you can't do it with all the ammunition behind you, just do it.
Just do it.
Because as we talk about, imperfect consistency will outperform perfect inconsistency. The perfect inconsistency will not get the results that the inconsistent will, that the consistent imperfection will do. And you know what you'll do? If you're consistent, you'll continue to raise the bar. We'll continue to add certain procedures, processes to get better and better. But if you just don't get started, you ain't going to get going. Well, I think in our new studio, that may be a wrap. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
think we're signing off.